Let's turn to two of the most provocative thinkers of the 20th century, Félix Guattari and Gilles Deleuze. Guattari, born in 1930, was a psychoanalyst and political activist, while Deleuze, born in 1925, was a philosopher whose work spanned metaphysics, literature, film theory, and political thought. When these two minds came together, the result was nothing short of revolutionary. Their collaboration produced the monumental two-volume project Capitalism and Schizophrenia first, Anti-Oedipus in 1972, and then 1,000 Plateaus in 1980. In Anti-Oedipus, they introduced schizoanalysis, a bold alternative to traditional psychoanalysis. Where Freud's model rested on the Oedipus complex as a universal structure of the psyche, Guattari and Deleuze threw this idea out the window. They argued that desire isn't a private familial drama, it's a productive force that flows through social, economic, and political systems. Desire, in their view, is not simply about lack or repression. It is creative, generative, and always in motion. Drawing from psychiatry, literature, anthropology, economics, and even art, Anti-Oedipus attacked both Freudian psychoanalysis and orthodox Marxism. Their claim was radical capitalism doesn't merely suppress desire, it actually produces it, only to then attempt to control and channel it back into the very systems that sustain power. Their second volume, 1,000 Plateaus, shifted from psychoanalysis toward rhizomatic thought. They challenged the traditional hierarchical tree model of knowledge, where everything stems from a single root, replacing it with the idea of the rhizome, a decentralized, interconnected network without a single point of origin or a fixed hierarchy. In a rhizomatic system, ideas and connections can sprout in multiple directions at once, non-linear, ever-changing, and radically open. This was not just a philosophical model, but a call to rethink how we understand identity, culture, and history. One of their key shared concepts is territorialization. This is the process of defining, stabilizing, and organizing social, cultural, or psychological spaces. It's how flows of desire, meaning, or relationships get anchored to specific boundaries, whether those are physical spaces, social norms, or symbolic structures. But territorialization never stands alone. It is always accompanied by deterritorialization, where these boundaries dissolve or break down, and reterritorialization, where new boundaries and orders emerge. For Deleuze and Guattari, this constant cycle of making, breaking, and remaking is the heartbeat of how identities, communities, and power structures evolve, whether in personal life or in the political arena. Together, Guattari and Deleuze didn't just critique the systems of their time, they gave us a completely different way of thinking about desire, subjectivity, and creativity. They left us with a vision of thought itself as something wild, non-linear, and impossible to contain. Let us now explore the life and thought of Erich Fromm, born in the year 1900 in Frankfurt, Germany, a thinker who stood at the crossroads of psychoanalysis, social philosophy, and cultural critique. Fromm trained as a psychoanalyst in the early 20th century, initially under the deep influence of Sigmund Freud. Yet, over time, he began to drift away from Freud's strictly biological view of human drives. For Fromm, the human psyche could not be understood in isolation from the larger social and cultural structures that shaped it. A member of the Frankfurt School, Fromm combined psychoanalysis with Marxist social theory, blending insights from psychology, sociology, and philosophy. His life took a decisive turn when he emigrated to the United States in the 1930s to escape the rise of Nazism. This personal history, living through the political storms of Europe, deeply informed his theories on freedom, authority, and human nature. In his landmark book Escape from Freedom, published in 1941, Fromm traced the historical evolution of individual freedom from the medieval era to the modern age. He argued that modernity, while offering unprecedented personal liberty, also brought deep insecurity. Faced with the burden of freedom, many people sought refuge in authoritarian systems such as fascism, which promised certainty at the cost of autonomy. In The Sane Society, published in 1955, Fromm sharpened his critique of modern capitalism. He claimed that industrial society alienates individuals, reducing them to consumers and wage earners who measure their worth not by who they are, but by what they have. This led to one of his most enduring ideas, being versus having, two fundamentally different modes of existence. In the having mode, life is centered on possession and consumption. In the being mode, it is focused on growth, authenticity, and meaningful relationships. Fromm also introduced the concept of social character, a bridge between psychology and sociology, describing the shared personality patterns that emerge within a particular society. He believed that mental health on a collective scale required a just, democratic, and human-centered social order. His other major works include Man for Himself in 1947, Psychoanalysis and Religion in 1950, The Art of Loving in 1956, May Man Prevail in 1961, Beyond the Chains of Illusion in 1962, The Revolution of Hope in 1968, and The Crisis of Psychoanalysis in 1970. In all of his writings, Fromm urged humanity to reclaim a balance between freedom and security, between individuality and community, between the inner self and the social world. For him, the health of a society could not be measured merely by its economic success, but by the depth of love, compassion, and meaningful connection it fostered among its people. Karen Horney, born in 1885 in Hamburg, Germany, was a pioneering psychoanalyst whose work reshaped the understanding of gender and neurosis. Initially trained within Freud's framework, she broke away to challenge his most controversial claims, especially the theory of penis envy. In its place, she proposed womb envy, suggesting that men may unconsciously envy women's ability to bear and nurture life, often compensating through achievement, dominance, or control. As a neo-Freudian, Horney emphasized that personality is shaped as much by culture and social context as by biology. Her theory of neurosis reframed neurosis as a recurring, situational coping pattern rooted in early childhood experiences of isolation or rejection. She identified three basic coping trends: moving toward people, moving against people, and moving away from people, which could become maladaptive if overused. Rejecting Freud's reduction of personality to sexual and aggressive instincts, Horney stressed the formative power of interpersonal relationships and societal expectations. She also exposed the patriarchal bias in psychoanalysis, arguing that traditional theory reflected male-dominated culture more than psychological truth. In the United States, she produced influential works such as The Neurotic Personality of Our Time in 1937, New Ways in Psychoanalysis in 1939, and Our Inner Conflicts in 1945. Horney's ideas laid the foundation for feminist psychology, expanding the scope of psychoanalysis to include the lived realities of women and the cultural forces shaping all human lives. That wraps up Chapter 18, Psychoanalytic Literary Criticism. And believe me when I say this, it's one of the most important sections in literary criticism, because without fail, at least 3 questions appear from this topic in every exam. I hope you enjoyed the session. In our next chapter, we'll dive into gender studies. Before you move on, don't forget to practice the PYQs for this chapter. I've collected and arranged them in sequence for you. At the end of each section, you'll also find PDF notes, classroom notes, and even diary notes you can copy straight into your own diary, all neatly organized according to past question patterns. And that's not all. You'll also get last-minute revision notes for quick recall when the exam is near. So, thank you for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next chapter.